If you or a family member have been hurt because of the careless actions of another person, call Walker Texas Lawyer. They'll work to get you the financial compensation and justice you deserve. They have 40 years of experience, and you don't pay unless you win. Call 713-881-9653 today for a consultation or go to walkertexaslawyer.com.
Oh, Brad, what have you done now?
Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The legendary Mr. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Great introduction.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
Kelly Ripa.
Brad, thank you for having me.
Comedy.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias.
Good morning.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What looking to talk, you me funny lad.
Grammy Award winner Maya joins us.
How are you?
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat, Brad Gilmore.
Welcome back to ESPN 92.5. We've been touting a special guest joining us on the line, and he's joining us right now. He has a bunch of projects he's working on right now, including Ghost and Grit. He also has Jack Osbourne's Night of Terror on the Travel Channel, relaunching the Osbournes podcast, and you can see him on Fox's Special Forces World's Toughest Test. Jack Osbourne's here with us. Jack, congratulations on everything you got going on.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a little busy right now.
Just a little bit, man. I would love to dive into the podcast that is going to be starting this Friday, October 13th, Friday the 13th, Ghost and Grit. Can you tell us exactly what this show is going to be covering?
Yeah, it's kind of dips into two of my favorite subjects. We dip into paranormal, and we kind of dip into people just getting through tough stuff. It's things that have been kind of very instrumental in my life, both buckets. And yeah, so we have an assortment of guests, some very well-known personalities and some not so very well-known, and people just kind of share their stories of, where their personal grit comes from and what kind of paranormal experiences they've had.
What's the genesis for you, though, getting into the paranormal side of things? What about it kind of draws your fascination?
I grew up watching The X-Files, and it was like my favorite TV show. I still have never really found a show that I liked as much as that. It was probably just because I was a kid and didn't know any better, to be real. But it just sparked an interest in me from a really young age, and it was a hobby for a long time. I would read books and, all through school, and then as I grew up, it kind of got put on the back burner as, childhood hobby to do, and but it was always still an interest to me. And then in 2011, I got asked to do a paranormal show, and it just kind of plugged me into the world.
And when you started the show and you started kind of really diving deeper into it, for the production aspect of the show, what I guess surprised you the most? Did you and have you continued to have paranormal experiences that you would describe?
Yeah, I've had some remarkable things happen. Seen some and I'm pretty rational. Yeah. One of the things that we often do when I'm doing a ghost show is we try and myth bust it. We, in the moment, if something happens, we instantly go, okay, could it be the wind? Could it be this? Could it be that? Is someone doing, we break it down to see what could have caused whatever thing to happen. So it's, I think it's because I'm kind of lean towards the being a bit of a skeptic more so than a full believer. So when I've had stuff happen that I can't explain, it really is mind blowing. I've had conversation with something that was turning a flashlight on and off. So it would turn the flashlight on for yes, and it would turn it off for no. And that went on for an hour and a half. And we couldn't figure out how is this flashlight doing that.
Yeah, I guess you just have to come to one conclusion, right? There's something bigger going on in that. Now, as far as the podcast goes for Ghost and Grit, again, it debuts Friday the 13th, appropriate time. This Friday, October the 13th, it's Ghost and Grit, Jack Osbourne. You incorporate these real life paranormal stories that people have had, and incorporate stuff like what you're saying right now. And do you try to suss out if there's a logical explanation for their experience on the podcast?
No, we just kind of, we let our guests kind of share their story and just kind of talk about, the experience that they've had. And it's funny because everyone kind of comes in with like, everyone's got a story, and that's the thing. And that's the thing that I think is really unique about the paranormal, ghost space is, it doesn't matter who you are. You might just be like, I don't believe in ghosts. In my experience, it's usually followed up with, but this one time, this one thing happened to me.
Yeah.
And it's very, and where I go with it, and we talk about it a lot on the podcast, is, all right, it might not be, the soul of a once living human who's lingering the hole because they're disgruntled, but there's something going on. So, we dive into that kind of theory on it, and, we kind of pick it apart and in a way without trying to dispel what people have experienced.
Now, on the subject of podcasts, you're also relaunching the Osbournes podcast with your father and mother, Ozzy and Sharon, and sister, Kelly. Talk about the relaunch of the podcast.
So the relaunch of the podcast is it's been a lot of fun. It's taken a minute to kind of get everyone in the groove, but we're finally there, and the podcast is it's out, doing really well. We're really pleased, and it's just been great. And it's just been nice to sit there and for an hour to an hour and a half, once or twice a week, we just sit and have conversations about things, and it's just nice. Even if we never released it, it's just a fun thing to do with the family currently.
Something to get the family together and sit and chop it up. And again, I mean, everybody in your family, including yourself, you're all doing so many cool things separately. I'm sure it's fun to get together and share those experiences when you're all sitting together. Now, about your dad, Ozzy, I'm a big wrestling fan, and Ozzy went into the WWE Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. I have a really question for you. Did you come up as a big wrestling fan, and was it cool to see your dad kind of cross over into that world every so often?
Yeah, I went through like bouts of being a wrestling fan. So like I in like the 90s, I was really into like the British Bulldog, the Undertaker days, and then I kind of faded out of it. And then in my teenage years, I really got into ECW. So and I was always like amazed, like when they would be like, oh wow, Dad's doing something at WrestleMania, this, that, and the other, and just because I knew it was such a big deal. But yeah, I was really happy when they inducted him into the Hall of Fame. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it was a cool moment for all of us fans here. Now, talk to me about Special Forces World's Toughest Test, because I've watched this show. It seems insane just to be, as a viewer, it's insane. I can't imagine being a participant. What made you want to jump into that and do it this season?
I've done a lot of different types of endurance challenges, and I was a big climber for a long time, and I climbed El Cap and mountaineered all over the world, and I just saw it as like a challenge. I was like, I want to see if I can, I want to give this thing a go. And I got to say that the most frustrating thing about the show is that it is much harder than the show can actually capture. They only have 44 minutes to show you the hellacious 24 hours that we endure in that episode. And the exhaustion and the kind of psychological component just doesn't convey. And it's so frustrating because, I was watching, I was like, we really don't, they don't show us getting that worn out, but man, we were just ground down. And it was awesome. Like, I loved every second of it.
Man, yeah, it seems like a very intense show. Jack Osbourne's got a lot going on. Again, Ghost and Grit, the new podcast, debuts Friday the 13th. That's this Friday. You can check him out on the Osbournes podcast. Of course, Jack Osbourne's Night of Terror on the Travel Channel and Special Forces, World's Toughest Test on Fox. Jack, thank you so much, man, for taking the time. And again, congratulations on everything you have going on.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Hurry up, tape running out.